Hello, and welcome back to episode 131 of the Book Wars Pod. I am Chris. I am here, as always now, with Miranda and Rana and Kristen. How are y'all doing?
Oh, just peachy.
That was extremely Midwestern for somebody who's not from the Midwest.
Correct. My ma's from Illinois. I'll take it.
Sure. I'll give it to you.
Thank you.
I was just going to say, at least I'm still alive, so don't have that Midwestern cheer, unfortunately.
Listen, we're month 12 into a pandemic. At least we're still alive is the mood. So as y'all know, Rana, in case you didn't listen to the last episode, you may not know that Rana is our new official co-host of the pod. We are so excited to have her. If you missed her last episode, go ahead and listen to, I want to say it's bonus episode 32 of the pod, which came out last week. Or go back
31.
and listen. 31?
I think.
Fair.
Who's to say?
I check.
There is a way to find out.
That's far too much effort for me. I don't know, but I encourage Kristen to.
God damn it, Chris is right.
Was it 32? Fuck
Had to happen eventually.
Starting the episode on a horrible note. But yes, we're so excited to have her. And we are also finally starting to read Shadowfall by Alexander Freed, the second book of the Alphabet Squadron trilogy.
We're reading a book on the Book Wars podcast.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't think we've done this since like October.
I think it's like October. Because we were gonna read this, but then it's like kind of long, and then we were like, okay, well, like let's not deal with the election, and then it was like Christmas, and we're like, oh, the holidays are coming up, and that's gonna be a pain.
October 8th was our last
Great.
book episode.
Cool. You'll love to see it.
Which is actually very funny. I promise I won't talk much more in this episode, but I'm pretty sure like episode 129 is where we had Rana on. So like
I worked my way in there. Like
yeah,
a disease. Not like COVID,
it's like 3 episodes
disease.
later, and now she's on the podcast. It's like she deep inceptioned her way in here.
I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It really looks like she was on here, and then we decided that she was on here, but actually it was several months after. We just didn't record.
Also,
I love it.
I'm dying at like a disease, but not like COVID. Like one of those friendly
Or
diseases,
more like
you
a
know.
parasite would have been the accurate, comparison. But it's all right. I am what I am, and I'm just gonna learn to own it.
I love it. Miranda's face right now.
I think
perfect.
I missed
Anyway,
something. I don't know what's going on.
that's
We're
know
reading
what?
a
I
book.
wouldn't worry
That's
about it.
what I've got.
Yeah. Before we read, what's everyone drinking today? Miranda, start with you.
Okie dokie. I think once again, I was definitely drinking this on the pod last week. I've got a whiskey sour. Local bourbon. It's real good. I bought these huge... I went to the grocery store yesterday, I think it was. And, like, I went to buy some lemons because I was like, oh, I want to make some whiskey sours. And I got there, and the lemons were fucking huge. Like, I would, granted, I do have tiny hands, but I couldn't, like, grasp 2 of them at once. I could, like, kind of cradle 2, but, like, they were literally the size of my palm.
We'll post the lemons on the Instagram.
Oh, yeah, sure. We will post the lemons on the Instagram.
It's truly on brand content.
I mean, we haven't
there.
had a podcast since October about books.
That's
so
true.
We might
What
as
even
well
is our
talk
brand?
About lemons.
It's true.
Well, it has to do with my drink.
No,
So those
I actually
lemons
think
are
we should
now in my
always talk
bevy.
about lemons. I'm down with it, but my input is
Lemon
invalid.
Wars Pod.
Yep.
Space lemons. What do we think? What do we think the space equivalent of lemons are?
Oh, what was? I think there's probably like a direct equivalent. Like what was it in one of the Aftermath books where somebody like almost killed Mon Mothma with some fruit?
Yeah. Something like that. Or like she like fucked up like and like stopped like some sort of plot with fruit. I don't know. There was some sort of fruit related incident in
Yeah.
probably Empire's End.
Was
Yeah,
it
but
Mei
for-
Lu Run?
It wasn't Meilu Run, only because I know that is like specifically a Rebels thing, but it was something.
I don't know. I bet that in Star Wars the lemons are sweet. I don't know why. I just believe it in my heart.
I'm down with it. Rana, what are you drinking?
I am drinking, thankfully it's an empty can poured into a glass. I did not just throw my whole drink, but I am drinking a left-hand chai milk stout in my very outdated now Game of Thrones glass. But it's delicious, and I like that there's a little chai flavoring for a nitro milk stout, so highly recommend. I got a whole box. They call it like the milk box, and it was on sale at my local, I know, Miranda, don't
That's
judge
weird.
me. I really like every type of beer, but I do love a good milk stout, so I'm super excited to try the different varieties. Positivity.
I love
for once.
their chai milk stout is so good.
Oh, you've had it? This is my first time having it.
I have. It's super super good.
Yeah, it's delicious.
That's a local beer for you guys, yeah?
Yeah, they're in
It is. It's
Longmont.
in. Yeah, so they're like north of Boulder. I haven't actually been there. It was on my list to go there, and then between pandemic and before that, not being able to leave the dog at home, it's a whole.
They're
it's a whole
building
thing. I
one
don't,
in
don't
Denver
actually go
now
outside.
as well.
Ooh.
But I guess Longmont's probably closer for you than not to tell where Chris lives, people listening to the podcast, but
Oh, I mean, we've said we're in Boulder.
okay.
Boulder
I won't
HQ.
drop the actual address because I don't know it, but let's hope I don't.
127.
Star Wars Avenue. But yeah, no, that's like one of my. I want to do more breweries and
Yeah,
shit this summer.
for sure.
Pandemic vaccination dreams. I don't know. It's been a long day.
What are you drinking, Chris?
I'm just drinking water actually, because my long day was a fun day. I actually went outside weirdly. Had a very lovely socially distanced hangout with some people in Boulder, which was wonderful. But now I was like outside in the sun, and my body's like, "What is this sun thing that you did to yourself?" And so now I'm just like, I need water, and then I'm dehydrated. But yeah, it's delicious water.
Tasty.
Tap water, Brita filtered, just the whole
Ooh.
works.
You went real fancy with that Brita filter.
Absolutely. That's how I do.
Nice.
Yes, I'm drinking sparkling water.
Is it
time-
flavored?
No, it's soda streamed. Next time we are on this podcast, I will be drinking a fucking beer because I'll be drinking again.
One more week.
We'll have
Yay.
Yeah.
I just thought to myself, oh, I'm going to be gone next time we're supposed to record this podcast, so we can talk about that offline.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Is just
More important
me,
things happening,
not-
to be fair. So
Yeah, it's fine. Hopefully I will be sitting in a hot tub 1 week from today at this time.
That's
is
the
plan.
goal.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
is
yeah.
the plan. So, but although snowflakes keep showing up in our forecast, and I'm not trying to drive in that, and I'm upset about it already. So,
channel your
That's fair,
like,
although
being a Red Sox fan ability to channel angry Boston streets in the snow. Like, you can do it.
oh, I am fine driving in snow. Other people, I have gotten rear-ended here while sitting at a stop sign in the snow. Like, we don't do it.
yeah, speaking as a West Coaster, we don't fuck with that
We don't do
at
it.
all.
I am fine driving in the snow. I'm pretty good at it, and I don't mind it. But it's danger here. So okay.
Well, hopefully
That's
you get
it.
to the hot tub before it starts snowing, because there's honestly, being in a hot tub while it is snowing is delightful.
It is. That's so true.
All right, let's air horn right into Shadowfall. I don't know. I napped before this, and then I just was looking at the tea about Harry and Meghan, and my mind's I have no transitions
Okay.
whatsoever.
This time you actually did forget the segment.
Oh shit! I did forget the segment this time. As a reminder for people, we are now doing a new segment where we are highlighting wonderful organizations to donate to, in addition to or instead of donating to support the Book Wars Pod. If you have money, we are continuing to support Advanced Native Political Leadership, a really phenomenal organization that Rana chose for us and explained on the pod last week. So encourage you to look them up at advancednativepl.org and go listen to last week's pod as well and support them. Thank you, Keeks, for reminding me.
Yes.
Don't
And
like
never
that.
thanking Kristen again. All right. Shadowfall.
It's a book.
It sure is. I like... It's like, it's weird to do the when and where are we thing now that Kristen is more in the producer role. But like, because I still... Like, Kristen, I won't put you on the spot, but I also like really want to just be like, Kristen, tell us where you think we are right now.
It's true. How about after Shadowfall? That's a segment that I can do, but I
Perfect.
for sure did not read this, so that
Perfect.
is the other great thing about being in the producer role is while I usually keep up with the reading, when I don't have to feel bad about it.
Perfect. Love to see it. Alrighty. So, Shadowfall. So we are, just to all do my like word vomit of when and where we are, just to get it out of the way. We are several months-ish after Alphabet Squadron. The time is squishy, but we know that we're still before the Battle of Jakku. From various things about, like, I don't know if we've gotten there yet, but there's a reference to Ray Sloan being in charge of... Was that in this section? Okay, great.
Yeah, because they also that was like a little bit of Alphabet Squadron, wasn't it? Like her
Yes.
starting to build some stuff up.
Exactly. So Alphabet Squadron, as a reminder, kind of took place before / concurrent with the first Aftermath book. And that was about 6-ish months after Endor. So now we're somewhere between 6 to 9-ish months after Endor. It's not really clear, but it also isn't super relevant what specific day we are, because Star Wars.
Time isn't real. I thought it was like 3 seconds after Alphabet Squadron.
It very well could be.
Who's
The
to
only
say?
reason I don't think it is because Keezy, and is that how we've decided to say it? Keezy?
Keys? I thought it was
Whatever.
Keys.
Keys? All right, I'm good with Keys. So Keys is like more back, like he found them being Shadow Wing. I almost called them Shadowfall. I'm like, it's not their
Said
name.
the name of the movie in the movie.
Love it when they do that. But yeah, so like we're a few weeks to a few months post Alphabet Squadron, I think is the
And
move.
there's like some line, I don't know what chapter, but when Hera says, or someone says that Hera said they hadn't lost a ship in weeks, some number of weeks, I don't remember how long. So, and they've been running missions since then, right? And they clearly, so
Yeah.
it's been at least a couple weeks.
Yeah, there you go.
I think it was 15 days.
Never mind.
I don't know why I remember that, but it was a couple weeks.
I don't know
which
why in
is-
my head I was thinking like 5 weeks, but 15 days. Yeah, that sounds more accurate.
Perfect.
A little more realistic for the New Republic, if we're keeping it 100.
And then the other time indicator that we got is that in a briefing, Keyes says to the Shadow Wing leadership, that Grand Moff Pandian is dead, which if people who read the Aftermath books remember that is something that happened at the Battle of Akiva at the end of Aftermath. So we know it's after that. That's basically where we're at.
So anywhere in Star Wars after Return of the Jedi, basically.
Yeah, so the time frame ranges from 6 months after Endor to basically right up to Force Awakens is the possibility window right here.
One of these seems more likely than the other.
It's, you know what, it's so true. And we're also in the core, which is new for us. Star Wars, I feel like, lives in the Outer Rim. Like, it's like starting Mandalorian, Jakku, everything's always in the Outer Rim.
Yeah, we see a lot like in the mid-rim, I think, in some of the books. We see like a decent amount of them going out there, but everything's the Outer Rim and like, oh, we're in the unknown regions, and it's like everything that's just like kind of on the, I say periphery, but like it's fucking huge of the galaxy. So I also didn't realize, I mean, of course I didn't, because why would I know the Cerberon system is in the core? I'm not Chris. And then they were like, we're in the core, and I was like, that seems sketchy. Like, y'all are just around a black hole right now.
Well, they said they have a couple thousand years until it really gets strong.
That's still super, like, every time they describe Troitha, and they're like, yeah, there's no sun in the sky, it's just always dark, and we're eventually going to fall into a black hole. I'm like, y'all picked this spot very poorly.
Get off the planet, man.
Sounds like space Portland, where it's about to fall into the Willamette River any day now from the earthquake that's going to murder us.
Or space Venice slowly sinking into the black hole.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great. Space DC.
Fucking
Swamp.
space climate change.
You hate to see it.
Ravaging Troitha. And then the other story note of the when and where before we move on is that it's happening concurrent with Star Wars Squadrons, which isn't happening anything that we know from this book necessarily, except that we know from this book that Vanguard Squadron isn't here. They are, in fact, the stars of that video game, which we'll probably do an episode on at some point. We need to find somebody else who played it.
That's the one with like the flight stick.
It's the one with the
and-
pew-pew, yeah. It's like a
Pew
flight
pew?
simulator.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, so we've gotten the factual stuff out of the way. We famously don't care about facts.
I mean, it is funny because like there are no reliable narrators in this trilogy also.
I know, there's no
like-
voice of truth.
I was gonna be like, oh, well, some of the stuff we're gonna talk about still the facts, and no, they're all lying to themselves, to each other,
To the
It's-
therapist droid.
to the You can't lie to the therapist droid. That's a problem that you need to talk to the therapist droid about.
I don't know. I mean, if I saw
We're
like
doomed.
the empty needle just hovering near me as it asks me questions, I too would lie.
Oh, I would be terrified and say everything that has ever happened to me.
Just sorry, reflex. Literally every time there's a scene with Ito, I just think of like the scene of one of those droids like torturing Leia in Star Wars, and I just like freak out.
And then just imagine it talking to you and opening up its little photoreceptor as it asks questions and waits.
Not better.
I prefer a human therapist. That's
Y'all-
what we get on Earth.
Y'all made
For
some
now.
very questionable tactical choices with appointing this droid in a leadership position.
It's an Imperial droid, too. It's not like they picked some, like, random, like, what are the mech? Astromech droids. Or, like, one of the little micey boys.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, oh, this Imperial interrogator looks like a good therapist. Let's go.
We've come far from the days of nobody gave K2 a blaster because he was an Imperial droid.
Yeah.
Sigh. Oh, Ito. All right, so the main theme of this first part of the book is, as we know from knowing Star Wars, and that, in fact, the Republic does win. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Return of the Jedi, and or The Force Awakens, just the general idea of the New Republic, is that they're winning now. And they haven't won, but when you kill the top two people in the Emperor and there's nobody around to replace them, gets a lot easier to win a war.
Yeah.
And
Sorry. You can...
no, go.
Okay. I was just going to say, like, it's interesting reading this because like I have seen the Star Wars films. So like I know that the rebels win. They've got the New Republic and all of that. So I'm looking at this, reading it like, yeah, of course they're going to win. Like in the end, like it's basically over. You know, Endor happened and yeah, there's Jakku, but that's just like fighting off everything. And even like in this trilogy, it's a lot of just fighting off the rest of kind of what the Imperial generals and admirals and stuff can scrounge together to try to have something in this massive power vacuum. So I'm like, they're gonna win. It's fine. But nobody in the book knows that. So they're all just like fighting like they're still in the thick of it because they are.
Sort of like reversing that or whatever. I do find it really fascinating to like read from Soren's, is that how we say his name? His chapters
Yeah, I
where
think so.
somehow they still think there's any chance, and like you're reading it, and I felt, you know, in Alphabet Squadron I was like, all right, grandmother, whatever. But in this instance I'm like, how could you possibly think that? But I think you're right, Miranda, there's probably some, you know, knowledge of what comes later that makes me feel like, oh, of course, like this is a unwinnable thing, why would you think you can win? But it does just feel so out of touch to like read them thinking about this is our strategy and we'll see and we don't want to lose, and I'm like, you already lost. I don't understand.
Game's over, man. Yeah, and like the closest that I think they get to like having a reasonable chance at it is like, and they only kind of briefly mention it in this book, but Ray Sloan has her shit together. Like she's doing all of this, and even Keyes, like he's there as an advisor on the Aeropostale ship.
Excuse me, Aerie is a brand of American Eagle, not Aeropostale.
Oh shit, I'm sorry. On their American Eagle ship.
Oh my God.
Like he's doing a good job too, I think. Like if anybody's gonna help kind of revive at least aspects of it, but everybody who's like already there and in the squadron after he left was like, okay, but you left and pretended to be like a little peasant. And now you're back.
I would love to be like whatever the space version of a fly on the wall is during that, because he mentions a little bit that there is some resistance to it, but I don't understand how he's in charge again. Like, you just left for what, 6 months, a year, like some large amount of time, at least 3 months, right? Because how long? Anyways, it doesn't matter. But we're not going to go back to the math section. But I just like, I want to know how that conversation went down, because I can't imagine it would have gone that way if most of the Empire wasn't gone. Like, how do you just get in power again after leaving? And then, like, I have questions.
Yeah. And there was one part where he was kind of thinking about it, and, you know, everybody is really resistant to him kind of having any influence. But he's like, yeah, so this is the only reason nobody fucking killed me when I rolled up. Because could you just, like, imagine, like, an Imperial officer deserts, goes to live a secret life for a few months, comes back to his old unit, and is like, I'm here. Like, do you just roll up like, hey, guys, what's happening?
Well, and then he has the audacity to always be questioning, like, the authenticity of everyone else. And I'm like, really? Really, bro? You were just, like, living on this little planet, living out Yojimbo, like, in your own life.
Yeah, it's so real. And we're going to get a lot more from his point of view and, like, how the Imperials think of him. But it's awkward. Like, y'all are so right. It is, like, it's very, like, all right, everybody, do as I say, not as I did.
The moral of the Empire, honestly.
Yeah. But yeah, and this whole time period to me is very, like, I don't know, God, this is like, this counts as, like, kids would be like, have you ever seen that really old show? But, like, it's very like Band of Brothers almost. Because, like, so Band of Brothers, for Miranda, I see the confusion on your face.
Oh, no, I know
Okay.
Band of Brothers very well. I'm just trying to think of how it is Band of Brothers.
Well, just because, like, you know, you read history books now, and it's basically like, yeah, and then the U.S. got into the war, and then we had D-Day, and yada, 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 a year and a half later, the U.S. won.
Ta-da.
And then, but, like, then you watch something like Band of Brothers, and like it's American imperialist propaganda, like will lay that out to start, but it's like you're seeing them in the trenches, and the people on the ground who like don't necessarily have a top-down view of the war, who aren't getting all the different reports from various points on the front, and they're very much like, all right, if we don't do this today, we could lose the war. Like it feels like the war is still very much in flux.
Mm-hmm.
And but then obviously, like, we know watching as viewers that the war is not in flux. Like, there's battles are in flux, but the war is essentially over at this point. And so that's kind of what it feels like to me in this period of time, where like Hera, it seems like, is starting to know that the war is ending. It feels like a couple of the pilots are starting to get that sense, but for the most part, it still feels like they're in the middle of a war.
Do you think that they're worried about like the Empire regaining some level of power, or are they worried about stopping things like Operation Cinder? Since
I think it's both.
Okay.
But I also think that they don't even know. And I think that like is kind of what the conflict is so far in this book, is they're not actually sure what they're fighting for anymore. Because like, when you're rebels, and it talks about this, like they're these upstarts. It's very easy to know who to fight for, because you have the people doing genocide on one side and the people not doing genocide on the other side. And that's a fairly easy choice to make. But like now, like they're having to, like the first time we see Will, he's like having to make split-second decisions about like, oh, well, my objective is to kill all these Imperials, but in doing that, I would like kill some bystanders, and I don't want to do that, even though I'm supposed to. And it becomes like this conflict of like, what exactly are we doing here?
Well, and oh, sorry, go ahead, Miranda.
Oh no, I think part of that too is like, and I'm assuming this is going to continue into the third book of the trilogy, like kind of the goal of Alphabet Squadron is to take on Shadow Wing. It's like, but we get here, they have no fucking clue where Shadow Wing is. And like, we are past Endor, which is kind of like we're in the denouement of the Galactic Civil War, right? So like the big thing has already happened, and now they're just like, okay, so we'll go free this planet? They were pretty pro-Imperial before the war, but now we're just gonna get rid of all the Imperial people? Seems like a good idea.
It seems like they still don't understand even what their strategy should be. Like, I was really surprised when they're telling the people of the city what they're gonna do, like, days in advance so people have time to flee. It's like, that's wonderful, and I guess that would be great if that's how war worked, but also, like, what are you doing? And they even say, oh, we know it's a risk, but, like, we don't want people to die. And that's great, but also it just kind of gives you that feeling of, do they not realize that they have so much power at this point, that they have the possibility to just come in and do this without having to announce everything and worrying about all of this? I don't know. I'm not saying they should just kill everybody, but I'm just surprised that they just keep announcing everything and still thinking as if they're like this small guerrilla band of, fighters.
Absolutely. And I think, and y'all will have to forgive me because I did my reading for this a few weeks back before, because I wanted to read other stuff in our schedule. We've been trying to record this for like 2 months.
We've been trying to record for 5 months.
I know, right? But like there's a point where like they're talking about like, yeah, this was a pro-Imperial planet and there's probably going to be resistance for a while. And like it just like gave me, as like an American who grew up in, formative political years in the 2000s, it gave me massive Iraq vibes. Like, we're just, we're going to take out the leadership and then all our problems are going to be solved. And don't worry about the fact that there's going to be 10 years of infighting after that, because that's not our problem.
Yeah, nothing to see here. If we chop off the head, the chicken will not continue to run around. But instead, the chicken grows like several more heads. Like, God, what is the...
Like a Hydra chicken?
Yeah. I was like, what's the one that Hercules fights in Hercules? Yeah. And like it's not gonna go well. I mean, and again, that's something that we know. Like not the Empire empirically, but like empirically in our world, because we see it, like it doesn't fucking work. It never does. But, you know, they're just in such a new kind of phase of this where they're not the underdogs. They're not losing, they're not running. They're about to win the fucking war. So they're like trying new things that they haven't had the chance to do before, and it's questionable.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so now they have all these hard choices, and you know, you get hardened veterans like Twilight Company, our old Alexander Freed novel friends, the 201st maybe, I don't remember, or no, it's like the 5th, I don't know. It's some particular company, and they don't actually name Twilight Company, but like the characters, if you read, like they mention Charmer, they mention Brand, like they mention all these characters that we know, and so like it's a fun little Easter egg. But it's also like we know that the people on the ground here are used to being put in impossible situations and being told, "All right, cool, we're gonna put you here, and if you're still alive in 3 days, we're gonna pick you up." And so now they're in charge of like storming Imperial facilities and like doing things with actual tactical value besides try not to die. And it's and they don't even know how to do this shit because they're not used to having to think tactically. Like not it's not even their problem, but like their company leadership is not used to having to do these jobs of, all right, and we're going to have to secure this objective and defend it and do all this stuff. And there's going to be civilians involved that we can't attack. And it's like there's so many new rules of engagement that don't really come into play when everybody can unite around the big bad genocidal emperor.
Yeah, they've been tactical, but it's all been defensive.
Yeah.
Try not to die kind of tactics.
Absolutely. And then the interesting thing about when the rules of engagement change is that new people gain more importance. And due to his own slimy planning, Karen Aiden is now one of those new people.
He's got secrets, man. I don't trust him.
That's why his eye stalks are so big. They're full of secrets.
All right, Mean Girls in Space.
Okay, Chris. Okay.
Listen, I'm tired. But it is like now we, like, obviously we have the need for an intelligence service, and that was kind of like what he was fighting against in Alphabet Squadron. The first book is that people didn't care about an intelligence service. Like they were like, all right, let's keep blowing shit up.
Yeah, blow shit up, survival mode. But now that they have the room to kind of like, oh, like we should do something that has like a real purpose other than make the emperor angry. So he's much more useful, even though he's a piece of shit.
It's very interesting, Rana. I would love to hear your thoughts on Aiden, because as we said last week, you kind of speed read the first Alphabet Squadron book, and then dove right into Shadowfall.
Yeah.
And so you like get really quick whiplash of scummy Aiden blackmailing Erica.
And then suddenly they're buddies.
Book ends.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they're buddies. Like how
He's
how did you read that?
Side note, sorry, before I answer that, I'm really glad you mentioned the
not at all.
dive dove thing, because when I was reading I read the last, like, I have this terrible habit, sorry, I promise I can say a complete sentence, but I have this terrible habit where if I have, like, you know, a tenth of a book left or more, or like around that amount, then I have to just finish it. And so the people in the pod know, because I was just live reacting over our messenger. But so I read like the last, 200 pages of Alphabet Squadron in one. Wow, I'm sorry, I'm tired. In one sitting, and they say dived so many times, and in my head every single time I'm thinking dove, and it's like Erica dived, and I kept thinking like, Oh my god, it was so much that night I literally kept dreaming about the word dived, like over and over again. And I was like, I'm so sick of this word. So I'm glad that you said dove as a possibility.
It's Luke Skywalker at the Olympics, just on the 10-meter.
Oh my god.
Like, I don't know. Anyways, minor thing, but I was just relieved to hear the word dove instead of dived as an option. But to answer your actual question, because Book Wars Pod, I didn't like him. Also, I thought his name was Adon, like Adnan without the N. And then I listened
Thank you. I did too.
Then I listened to your podcast for the first couple chapters because I was like, I should know what they talked about. I didn't do it after the first two, but maybe one day. But I was like, oh, it's Aiden. But I didn't like him. He was very slimy. I liked his initial introduction chapter when they're still on Trader's Remorse and all that. And then after that, he was just very slimy. Like you said, when we see him talking to Ito, I was like, oh, I don't like, I don't know. There was just something weird about it. His, like, alcoholism is not, I'm not going to, like, say it's not that I have a problem with him just because he's an alcoholic, but it's, like, a weird sub-point of him and just, like, his hypocrisy around it. How he's like, I can drink this much because it's fine, but when I see these people drinking to celebrate, it's a problem. Like, I don't know. All that shit irritated me. And then just the way that he acted when he confronts Erica at the end of the book, all of that. So to jump into Shadowfall and see him, like, it's not authentic, but he's, like, smiling at her and, like, not in a weird, like, she keeps thinking, like, waiting for him to put it out. Not it out. Wow, that sounds bad. She keeps waiting for him to put out the information. I apologize. I do think there's a slightly strange, like, tension between them all of a sudden, which is weird. But she has tension with everyone in the beginning of this book. But, like, she's noticing that he's not holding it over her, like, in this way. And it's just weird. It is, like, whiplash, like you said. I almost felt like maybe I should have timed this differently, but I didn't want to wait to record. But I was like, oh, I bet I was actively thinking the other day when I started reading it, like, oh, I think if I'd taken more time, maybe it would feel less severe. But the changes in the characters, which I know we'll get to later, but especially in, like, the interactions with him are just strange, having just read the other book.
Yeah. Let's oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I do want to say, like, he's still blackmailing her.
100%, yeah.
Nothing has changed except he's a little more important, so he's put on more of this kind of facade of being like a big, important, and good intelligence officer person, and it's like, nope, he's still a piece of shit. But also Erica is more important. Like, she's in all the stuff with, like, all the briefings and all of that with Hera, so, like, he's forced to respect her, or to at least show, like, pretend that he does. Yeah, weird stuff.
No, and let's pivot to that conversation about, like, the characters, because, like, the only thing that's changed that happened right at the end of Alphabet Squadron is obviously that Erica's not hiding anything anymore from him. She's hiding it from the squad, but not from him. And so there's, like, it's almost this weird, like, the truth will set you free vibe between the two of them, where she's like, well, you can't, like, do much, and, like, I'm not hiding anything from you anymore, so I can be more comfortable with you. And he's like, well, we're both just very clear with the fact that I can and will destroy you at a moment's notice, so, like, we're gonna, like, make our peace with that. But it is, like, it's a really weird vibe. Like, there's, like, one scene where, like, he's, like, making a shitty, like, PowerPoint joke, and she just, like, starts laughing, and he's just like, it wasn't that funny, and she's like, I know, you're not funny. And I'm like, this is, like, weird banter, and it's, like, weird, like, totally with you that it's, like, weird tension, like, and, like, well, we're not entirely sure what kind of tension, and, like, there's the power dynamics are bizarre, but it's like almost euphoric in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Rana, you go ahead.
ooh.
That is
Sorry.
mean because I pointed at Miranda, like, in our video, and I was very clearly like, go ahead, I know you have a better point. And then Chris is like, nah.
Unlikely.
It's fine. I understand as the new person I have to talk a little more, even if it has no substance. But I've actually forgotten what I was going to say. So Miranda, please go ahead and Keeks, please cut this out
God.
because I am now confused.
I've also kind of forgotten, but it was basically along the lines of like, if you don't have anything to hide, and this is exactly what Chris was saying, if you don't have anything to hide, like, you know, it's so much easier. And like, she doesn't know who knows things. Like, Nath knows some weird stuff about her. Aiden knows stuff about everyone. And she's like, well, he knows, and he's the one who's been blackmailing me. So, like, as long as I continue to keep this a secret from everybody else, the fact that I actively did genocide, I'll be fine.
Well, it almost seems like she's desperate for some sort of connection at this point, and I don't know if that's like the relief of admitting admitting to herself what had happened or what, but we see her do this with Will a lot too, where she's like, I'm gonna tell you something random about myself and then I'm not gonna elaborate. And it's like very strange that it happens multiple times in these first couple chapters. And even being more honest with Ito, like, it just seems like maybe she's really desperate for connection after having turned off that part of herself for so long. Or maybe she's just like, oh, whatever, the truth is out there and now I don't care. But
Yeah, that's actually a really great point about the need for connection. And like, like Aiden is to kind of go off of that point, Aiden is kind of the only person she has an honest relationship with, except Ito,
on her
and like
end,
Ito's a torture
he's
droid.
not honest with her. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. Totally. And so like that's a really great point about like why it's like this. I think that hits the nail on the head.
Mm-hmm. And it's something that, like, I think other people are aware of. Hera literally goes to her, like, pulls her aside after a big briefing kind of meeting, strategy, whatever bullshit, and it's like, how's your squadron? How's your team? They doing okay? You getting to know them? And she's just like, well, fuck no, like, why would I do that? But it's like, no, you need to go talk to people. Like, you need to get to know it's obviously improved since the beginning when nobody could do, like, the flight simulator without half of them dying. But, like, you need to trust these people. Y'all need to have trust in each other, because if not, you're all gonna die.
Well, and she takes...
So, sorry. Go be friends, you know?
She is so much more receptive to it in this than she was in Alphabet Squadron. Like, she gets a very similar talk in Alphabet Squadron where she's like, okay, you know them, but do you know these things, those things about them? And she's like, I don't need to know that shit. I'm in charge. And then in this book, she's like, okay, I'll just go drinking with them and get drunk and have some interesting feelings about people. And, it's cool. It's whatever. And I just think it's fascinating that not that much time has passed. And her reception to a talk like that is essentially a 180.
Yeah. And I do think part of that is just like the nature of how they're living right now, because they are still in the middle, as they see it, of a war. It's high tension, and they're very aware of the fact that anybody could just die at any point. Like, the fact that they went 15 days without losing a fighter was incredible. Like, that, it's not a great sign for, like, us, Like, if, like, I was losing somebody every 15 days, I'd be like, what the fuck is happening? But they're in a war. They're like, we're doing okay. We're just forced to be closer to the people we work with because we rely on them to keep us alive.
Yeah. And the situation that the New Republic's in is kind of like reverse shadowing that we see at the end of Alphabet Squadron when Nath has, like, grandmother at gunpoint. And he's like, what happened to all these people who I wanted to kill personally? And she's like, bitch, that was like 2 years ago. They've been dead. Like, they're TIE pilots. They died within like 2 weeks. So it's like, it's just this interesting dichotomy of the New Republic cares about its pilots and getting to know them and actually trying not to lose them, which is something that the Empire thus far hasn't really done.
Yeah, and that's also a really interesting kind of turn to see in this book so far, and it makes sense because before, the expected lifespan once they joined and like got onto a unit of a TIE fighter was literally like 2 weeks. Like they were just throwing them out there like, oh, you're probably gonna die, it's fine. But now, because the Empire doesn't have that strength, they don't have the recruitment tactics, they don't have the resources, they're bean counting. Like, how much fuel are we spending by doing this one kind of flying in an urban environment? That's too much.
He literally counts his minutes in the shower.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's this weird reversal that we're seeing between the sides. And everybody's feeling the whiplash of it. Speaking of people who are unused to winning and not sure how to handle it, let's talk about, well, honestly, the entire squadron. But let's start with Chas.
I love that she's still just like super into playing her shitty music.
She switched over to hip hop. So last time was a lot of metal. There's something about rhythm rhyme, and I assume that's hip hop.
There was like a weird folk thing at one point, which like if I were going into battle, everybody would be because like everybody just kind of listens to it. She keeps her channel open and does that. And it's like I would definitely be making you all listen to like First Aid Kit if we went into battle. But it's just, it has nothing to do with like her. It does have something to do with her not being okay. But it's just, I respect the hell out of it.
I don't think she's mentioned, God, I hope I'm getting this name right, Sadonique. I don't think she's mentioned Sadonique this whole beginning of the book yet, which is weird because Alphabet Squadron, she's like, Sadonique, 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 it's like all that. And then in this part, I don't think she's brought it up once yet, which doesn't mean she's not thinking about it, but just interesting.
Yeah. I mean, in like getting her kind of, third person omnipotent internal monologue, she lies more than anyone else. And she's like, this shit didn't happen for another 6 months after this, but I'm going to say it happened then anyway. And it's like, she's probably the most unreliable narrator. Or is she the most? Because she like tells you, who's to say? But yeah, there's no way she's not still thinking about her friend,
And then the other thing about Chas is like, she's also very not sober at this point. Like, she's having like substance abuse problems up the fucking waz. And so like, to me, I think part of her unreliability, like, I don't think she necessarily knows that she's like, I think sometimes she knows she's lying, like that time that she like claims she's testing Erica, which like she's like, oh, she doesn't know this like minute timeline detail, and I'm like, who the fuck knows that, Chas? Like, you're not fooling anyone, they just don't know. But also like, I do feel like it's a certain amount of like lying to herself about like, I'm totally okay, I am good to fly, I am completely healthy in my brain all the time, I can quit anytime I want. Like that whole like addiction vibe, I feel like is really getting to her, and that's contributing to her unreliability.
And she's like flying around drunk. Like Hera says that she like took a joyride after drinking or while inebriated, and I was like, drinking and flying is still a problem, right? Like, why is this not a bigger deal? And then I don't know why Erica's decision then after that is to go drink with them more, but I was just like, is this not a big deal in space? Because it seems like a big deal.
It's like, it's a big enough deal for Hera to say something about it and be like, in that conversation where she's like, how's your team? It was like, you should keep an eye on them because one of them is literally going for drunken joy rides.
Yeah, I hear that
constantly drunk.
Yeah, I hear that adding a third dimension to your vehicle's trajectory really helps with the alcohol. Like, it just really, they counteract each other to make it perfect. Yeah, so Chas
I can't even play that video game if I've had a drink.
Yeah, honestly,
It's very
same.
hard.
I tried playing Squadrons drunk once, and it did not go well.
It's so hard.
I can't even play Among Us drunk. To be fair, I can't play it sober either. But anyways, I'm off topic.
Yeah, for anyone listening, she's telling you she can't play it sober so that you won't suspect her when she fucking stabs you in the back.
Today I
Sus.
literally told everyone that I had self-reported because I did it twice in 2 minutes.
Nobody asked
Accidentally.
questions. Nobody said anything. She just did it.
I love that. It's very on brand.
Sorry.
So, in the meantime, Chas is kind of pretending to herself she's okay when it seems to everybody else that she is not. Will's, it's very clear to himself that he is not okay, but everybody else thinks he is.
He cries
Yeah.
about the building. I was like, oh my god. It's like when I cried about a lake. Little soft boy.
Like, he's doing fine in his job. Like, he's completing the missions, he's doing the objectives, whatever. But he, like, just wants to go home and fly his little space flying dragon whale shit, whatever the fuck those little things are. I'm picturing, like, Littlefoot with wings for some reason. But, like, he is so soft, and he has told at least Nath, like, yeah, I was gonna leave because my entire squadron died. And, like, the one part of this section that I found really interesting was when he was basically just trying to tell anybody about, like, what's been going on in his life, like somebody who's not the 4 people that he sees all the fucking time. And it turns out it was like he keeps like recording and then deleting these messages to Blink, the fucking TIE fighter pilot from the first book, just because, like, they had that connection once and, like, the vastness of empty space.
It will be a miracle if Will survives the trilogy. I spent all of Alphabet Squadron thinking he was gonna die, and then when Nath, like, leaves him there, I was like, he's gonna... It's like in any cop movie, not that I'm in any way supporting the police movement, but movies, when there's, like, the beloved police chief who's always a day away from retiring and, like, he just wants to retire. Every time that Will says, I'm gonna go home now, I'm always like, oh my god, he's gonna die. He's not gonna die.
Will has very, like, gifted academic child vibes where everybody's like, he's getting straight A's, look how great he's doing, and then on the inside he's like, I want to kill myself. Like,
I have deep anxiety that I'm not treating. I'm so depressed all the time. I'm getting the A's, but are they worth it? I won't think that question for several years.
not
very
that
soft.
anyone on this podcast can relate
No,
to that
we
feeling.
cannot relate to that.
Mm-mm,
No.
of course not. No.
I want him to go home and fly his space dragons. Like,
Just bounce, man.
I love that he has a moment where he's like, we define cities on my planet in this way. And then he's like thinking about the destruction needed to build a city. I was just like, we need more people like this in Star Wars.
Also, there's something about, I think one of the opening paragraphs is like, I've never seen a city before, like a real city.
Little farm boy.
And it's just that kind of, like, a very kind of cliche sort of situation, but it's like, oh, the rural boy goes to the big city and sees the big city for the first time. And he's like, his planet is tiny, everybody's friendly, they've got the Littlefoots. He joined the rebellion and got into all of that shit. Now he's seeing the city like, oh, this is different. There's, like, people here who live here very close together.
Well, and he joined the rebellion because he basically had to, where it was like a decision of the planet that the best flyers would go, and he was happy to, like, he was in line with it, but it's not like he, unlike a lot of people in the story, he wasn't dreaming of, like, one day I'll be a rebel flyer, blah, blah, blah. He loves his home. He only calls it home.
he's like the anti-Luke Skywalker in a lot of ways.
Oh, that's
He does
a really
not
good
want to
point.
go to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters. He wants to stay at home and watch space TV.
He's never seen a power converter in his goddamn life.
What is Tashi Station? He doesn't know that. That's on a planet far, far away.
But yeah, no, that's a great point that, like, he doesn't he's doing this because it's his duty, but he's not doing it because he wants to. He's not a true believer, even in the rebellion. Like, which, like, he's not a believer. I think, like, he presumably thinks tyranny is bad and that Palpatine was a bad person, but, like, as y'all said, now that Palpatine's dead, he's like, so like, what is our goal?
Yeah, he's a believer, not a fanatic.
Yeah.
that's a good way of putting
Like,
it.
he hasn't been like super invested, except since, you know, he kind of joined up, and maybe there was some weird Imperial stuff on his planet. But he's just like, okay, yeah, let's get rid of him and go home. And everyone's like, a new republic. We're going to keep doing things. And he's like, we killed that guy? Are we good?
I think my heart, like, I don't even want to think about, because he has no communication with his home planet, and what we know of the Empire's, like, resource extraction, for lack of a better term, of his planet, it makes me worried that if he does go back, it might not be what he wants.
Oh
Let me
God,
not
I didn't
think
even
about
think of that.
Oh, that's all I thought.
Oh,
about.
no.
Okay,
It's like going back to the res. No, I'm kidding. I'm not from a res.
Why
I
is it
shouldn't
bad
make that
that
joke.
I'm like,
Please cut
it's
that
okay.
out, Keeks. It's an inappropriate joke for me to make.
I'll cut it out.
Thank you.
Why?
Sorry.
Why does it make me think like, oh no, it's fine. He's not going to go back to his home planet. He's going to die first. And that is somehow comforting. Because, like, he's going to die, so, like, we're going to be wrecked. But, like, he won't be wrecked by seeing his home planet become something that is not home to him.
This is like a very philosophical conversation on death. I like.
Maybe if he dies, he'll always be home.
Oh my god.
Poor
Anyway,
Will. I just want
Will-
Will to be happy.
Will is soft and I love him.
Me too.
I
We
was
know everyone's gonna die because Star Wars is in past tense.
He is.
Just here to remind you of
It was
that
a long time ago.
all the time.
I was about to say he is not a parent in Star Wars as far as we know, so he's probably safe for now.
It's true. He's got better odds than most.
Side note, speaking of him not being a parent, I love that Nath is like trying to set him up with people when he's like, this girl wants to come talk to me. We don't even know if Will likes girls, but when he's like, we know he likes non-girls. We don't know what his window is, but when Nath is like, she wants to talk to you. Yeah, it's great.
He's like the best, like, shitty wingman. Like, I did not ask for this. Why are you doing this? Like, ever. Like, he's in his own way. He's like, you know, I am bonding with you, and Will's over here like, nobody asked for this.
Well, and then
Can we
like
just like
poor
get a
Will,
drink and talk? Like, let's go do a puzzle together.
poor Will is like depressed, and he says, "Oh, I have to do something before I go to bed." And Nath assumes it's
Yeah, but like, speaking of Nath and I don't know the kind of squadron mate he is. It's just like he knows things that other people don't. Does he know that Erica did the genocide? Like,
Nath does, yes.
yeah. Because he found that out at the end of, like, he's got secrets. He's kind of like a mini Aiden in that. And also he's getting fucking paid to, like, shut the fuck up. Because, like, this guy, you know, Nath is a veteran. He's disillusioned. He's just kind of here. You know, he really just wants revenge, if he wants anything, you know, to do with the ultimate goals of Alphabet Squadron. So he's just, like, going along being him and, like, you know, he's just being him. And that him is, like, maybe a little crass and, like, not to the extent of some other characters, I think, but he's got this information. He's bumbling along. He's trying to set Will up with women. What more can you say about the guy?
I do feel like his chapters are much less like slimy than the last book. In the last book, he's constantly thinking like, I can use this person later and they don't know it. And like all of his stuff when he gets onto, it's not the Airy. What is the ship that they get on?
The
With,
oh, I know this too.
The Lodestar?
Lodestar, yes.
No. I'm talking about with the grandmother.
Oh,
Shit, I don't remember
that was the I don't know. I don't remember the name, but I know what you're talking about.
Sorry. Yeah, when he gets on that ship and he like leaves Will out there like with no cover and all that. He like those chapters are hard to read because he's just like very. Oh yes, she can look it up. I also have the book somewhere. I don't know. But you're just like, wow, that guy's a dick. But now I don't feel as much as like the searing like, oh my god, this guy's gonna get everyone killed for his own selfish purposes. Could definitely come back. But I do feel a little less like disgusted reading his chapters.
Is it The Pursuer?
Yes, it is. But yeah, no, Rana, I'm totally with you. But it's also funny because, like, just like you said, it's like he's definitely more being himself. But then it's like, is that better?
I think it's more like
It's more honest for sure.
it's not more inwardly slimy because it is still inwardly like you are using this to your advantage. You're lining your pockets. You're like, oh, she doesn't know I make more than her because I know secrets need to be paid off. But he's also not being like gross.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a weird dynamic for sure.
And then last but not least, the fuck is going on with Kairos?
She's got collectibles.
I was confused by her saying that she smells like she's rotting. That was worrisome. Especially when everyone else says she smells like a flower.
Wait, they said
Yeah, she's like, she's trying to platinum the game for sure with her collection, but like, it's weird.
She's the enigma of the squadron, and I love it, but I hate it. I'm like, I need information. Tell me everything. Why do you have Imperial and Rebel shit in your ship? What secrets do you hold? Why are your bandages so big? Like,
in her last chapter, we know that she knows about Operation Cinder as that name, and that she like has real like vitriol for it. So I am super curious to know what happens when inevitably she finds out what Yurika's role was in that, because we know that like Kairos doesn't have a chill button. And so I am just fascinated by that dynamic when that eventually happens.
yeah, and two, we see her like really going all out for the civilians in this section. Like I think at the end of her last bit, we see she's like just going all into the Tri-City Center.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to call it a convention center, even though it's not that at all. But she just goes in like, okay, so I'm going to do this. Nobody else is here. I'm going to take on every stormtrooper with my little bow. Like my crossbow shooter thing like Chewie has in The Force Awakens. And that's going to be that.
Yeah, and like the civilians and the ground troops, she is like has this super like passionate connection to, and we don't know why. But yeah, like she's also like not functioning in a way that is optimal for self-preservation, as we see at the end of this, because like we end on a cliffhanger of like Kairos is not dead, but she's not alive. Like she's like injured, and we don't know how bad. And then
Is that the cliffhanger we ended on?
No, there's
It is
another
not the cliffhanger.
oh yeah, no,
ended
that was
on.
I mean that was one cliffhanger. There's a second cliffhanger.
It was a cliffhanger. I did read that. Like, what the fuck? Did she die?
Cliffhanger
I
one
don't
that
know
led
anything.
to cliffhanger 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending on what you think is behind cliffhanger 2.
And like, I'm sorry to get us off topic again, but speaking of injuries that you like that get brushed aside, Chas says one of her horns goes back into her head, and I like read that and I kept rereading it, and I was like, is this normal? Because then it doesn't get mentioned again, and it just sounds really painful, and I just want to mention that. It sounds awful.
I always wonder with like non-human anatomy and like talking about injuries, is that like the Thelian equivalent of like popping your shoulder out of its socket where you can just pop it back in and you're fine? Like what? Because I'm with you. That didn't sound
Like, it
good.
sounds like it would hit your brain, right? Maybe they don't have a brain. I don't know their
Well,
anatomy,
maybe
but,
it's in a
different
maybe
anatomy.
there's more space between the brain and her head. If we're assuming that her brain is in her head.
Sorry, not to be.
I also missed this
human
part
normative.
entirely.
I just read it and I was like so horrified, and I just kept. I'm gonna find it and send you the page number, Miranda.
Great.
yeah, it's rough. But then obviously, yeah, do y'all want to talk about the other cliffhanger or just
Holy shit. I think I reread that 3 times to be like, did this actually happen?
yeah.
Somebody done shot fucking Aiden in the head hole.
In the head hole.
Yeah.
It's like very much like they're seeing victory on Troitha. They're seeing like they're seeing the troops are winning. Even, thanks to Kairos, they managed to like grasp a victory from the jaws of defeat there and like hold out long enough. But then Kairos is in trouble, and Hera's gone in the meantime, and now we're really seeing all the problems. Or Hera's not gone. Sorry, Hera's not gone yet. But like now she's busy, and now we're like really seeing the problems. Did you just
tell us something that we should be worried about?
No. She doesn't die.
Okay, I was like, how did that happen? I missed something.
No, at some point in this book, she goes to join the plot of Star Wars Squadrons. That's all.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's literally all.
Light spoiling is okay, I guess.
Yeah, it really kills me. It actually kills Aiden. Probably. Maybe. Who's to say? I don't fucking know. But it's just like the way that Alexander Freed wrote this, like he heard somebody call his name.
Is that the Cookie Monster on our podcast?
I don't want to do a Cookie Monster impression because I haven't heard Cookie
Let's
Monster speak in many years.
I think that's what he sounds like. Maybe I'm mixing him up with like the general death metal, which I don't listen to, so that could also be how Miranda
very dark Cookie Monster.
But he like hears somebody call his name and he turns around. It's like, or maybe he doesn't turn around. That part was unclear, but it was just like, oh, he got shot in the head. That person who said his name just.
It's not ideal. It's not what you want.
Pew pew. Actually, it's
Sorry,
probably
go
Blaster.
No, you're good.
Sorry.
I'm always interrupting. I apologize. In Alphabet Squadron, there are a bunch of chapters like that with Will where it says, like, he died. And then it's like, he didn't actually die. He's always like, I'm dying. I think of, I promise I have other interests in life. I feel like I've brought up Game of Thrones in the podcast a lot of times. But I remember a chapter right after the Red Wedding and A Storm of Swords. Sorry if this is a 20-year-old spoiler. Where there's a chapter that ends for Arya where it says that, like, an axe hit her in the back of the head. And it's actually, like, she doesn't die. It's just that, like, it's the bottom of the axe. But that's all I could think was, like, is there a way that it's similarly written where it's, like, we're going to freak out, and then actually it's like, oh, they just cut my hair. Like, I don't think it's really... but my point is, like, I don't know, singeing your scalp sounds pretty serious there, but also, like, I've been fooled before. So...
Yeah. The question is, would you feel your scalp being singed
if you were dead?
Like, shot on full power in the head?
Yeah.
Or would you just die immediately?
For, like, a millisecond. Wouldn't
you feel like the other things happening?
How fine-tuned and fast-reacting are... why can't I remember his species name? But how his reflexes and his senses, basically.
A great question.
I guess we'll find out next week. Seems like a great place to stop. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Book Wars Pod. Next week, we're going to be continuing on with Shadowfall by Alexander Freed, reading chapter 7 through 12. In the meantime, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Book Wars Pod. Email us, bookwarspod@gmail.com. Wait, Miranda, I'm sorry. Did you say something and I just completely rolled over you?
Not the first time.
I mean...
Oh, I was just going to say something that I kind of said in the break about Hera.
Oh, yes.
It was kind of an untouched point in it. Like, she knows that things are good, but, like, she's also very wary as a commander. And then there was a thing where Erica notices that she, like, says something but has, like, a really sad smile. And I haven't finished a certain show that shall remain nameless, though I am in its last season. But it's like, oh, Kanan.
I know. I was like, baby. Cool, Alexander Freed, thanks for just ripping my heart right out. I didn't want to be able to see through tears today. It's fine.
Oh, I yelled.
Weird
I was so mad.
It's weird that you just like somehow got the publisher to chop onions on this page, and now I'm just it's fucking rude. Ugh. Now I'm mad all over again.
Sorry, that was my point. That was it. Just to make you mad.
In the meantime, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at BookWarsPod. Email us bookwarspod@gmail.com or hit us up on the Tashi Station Radio Patreon Slack. If you have the means, first of all, please donate to Advanced Native Political Leadership. And then if you want to support us, you can either donate to the Tashi Station Radio Patreon or give us coffee at ko-fi.com/bookwarspod. Both those really help cover our hosting and production costs. And when you do give us coffee in particular, because that's the one that we can see who donated, we will post pictures, more pictures of Argos, Cerberus, Jasper, Orca, and Tony on the Podstagram. Our theme song is Whiz Bang by Poddington Bear. Our logo and artwork are by Joe Butera Design, and our audio and production are done by Kristen Cerisi. Thank you all for listening. For Keeks, Miranda, Rana, and Kate, I am Chris, and we will talk to you next week.
Pew, pew.
My bad, Burb. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine. I already said it like during that one of the Rana breaks.
That's fair.
Thanks.